Welcome to the Game Changer 00100 show. I'm your host, Game Changer, and been getting a lot of talk lately about winter is coming. Apparently, with the whole rent moratorium, is it a moratorium or what do you call it? What do you call that thing? Yeah, that's a moratorium where people don't have to pay rent because of beer flu and stuff. So between that, unemployment running out, um, just a whole bunch of economic turmoil that's going on. They say winter is coming. Now, what do they mean by that? Well, it's a reference to a show called Game of Thrones, for those of you who are not familiar. But before I get deep into it, let me just do something right quick. All right. And this message is not for the audience. This is for YouTube. YouTube, once again, there is no red dot. If you check right here, you see my show is listed and the notification was sent, though late, because we are 5 minutes in and it was sent 2 minutes ago, but that's okay. But if you look closely where it says Game Changer 00100 right here, this should be lit red and broadcasting, and it is not. So please take care of that, and I will be sending you an email response for that. All right, so let's continue now that I got that business out the way. Let me hit the refresh and close that down. All right, 1 second. All right, so it's a reference to a show called Game of Thrones. And basically, they're saying that hard times are coming, and this will drastically change the behavior of society. Basically, during the summer, things seem to have been in one kingdom's favor, and during the winter, things were in another kingdom's favor, the Starks. And the Starks kind of just warned people that winter is coming, so prepare for it. Prepare to change your behavior in a way that will suit us because we are better equipped to deal with winter. As it refers to the red pill, a red pill winter is a time of extraordinary financial upheaval, meaning it's a time where the women are going to have to get their stuff together and work out some type of arrangement that's beneficial to both men and themselves. In our case, because this is the Black Manosphere, we're talking more about Black women. And this can apply to all women, but I want to make this more specific about Black women for one particular reason, and one particular reason solely. Is that not only are Black women more prepared for winter, meaning that they're more prepared for poverty, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, they also bring it with them. You see, somebody said on the TV series Game of Thrones, that the Ice King does not fear winter, for he brings it with him. So some may argue that Black women collectively don't fear poverty, for they bring it with them. You see, this whole get the bag thing, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, this is all new. You have to understand that prior to this, we were dealing with a collective of people who embraced poverty. They said, you know something? I would rather live in an apartment full of roaches by myself and take care of a child by myself before I will, say, date a bus driver, or date a construction worker, or date a garbage man. I would rather deal with that before I submit to a man that I feel is unworthy of submission. This is the deal that they made with themselves. They chose poverty over a decent, hardworking man. back in the 80s. Yeah, somebody said in the chat room, they embraced poverty. Now, that's very unique compared to every other ethnicity of women out there. None have embraced poverty over submission. Most every other group collectively, if given a choice between poverty and independence, they would not surrender their independence for poverty. They would much sooner just marry somebody and, have a kid, white picket fence, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But you see, the concept of independence is so rooted in their core being, in who they view themselves as, that they will not surrender. They will always take the hard way. So to people who think that because, this small economic upheaval is going to happen, they're might going to have to pay rent or something like that, you don't really know the history of the people that you're dealing with. That's kind of like the Romans thinking that feeding them to the lions, we're talking about Christians here, will end Christianity. See, they didn't realize that, don't get me wrong, like, imagine being a Christian, a secret Christian, and you see another Christian get caught and then get fed to a lion. Well, not fed, they gave him a sword, but actually had to fight a lion and lose. And then the person in the audience was like, oh, you know something? That was gruesome. That was gruesome watching this guy getting eaten by a lion. But you know something? I'm going to stick with this regardless. This is who I am. My core identity is a Christian. Therefore, I will not stray away from my core identity. You're going to have to feed me to the lion first before I convert to your multi-goded religion. Sisterhood, strong independent, is part of the core belief system. It's immutable for some of them. And unfortunately, far too many of them. The overall collective, it is immutable. Just like a person, a heterosexual man, that is part of his core identity, meaning that if he finds himself locked up and somebody says, I like you and I want you, we can do this the easy way, or we could do this the hard way, he's going to pick the hard way. He's going to protect his core identity at all costs. That's what we're dealing with. This winter is not going to change that. This is not the first winter that they have received in recent history. They have received winter after winter after winter and still no change. The first winter in my lifespan was around 1996, I believe. And that's when Proposition 209 came, eliminating affirmative action as we understand it. Just completely, poof, gone. The next one came shortly after that, and that was welfare reform. And what did they do? Did they say, you know something? Okay. It was good fun while it lasted, being able to walk into any job and say, hey, I'm a black woman. Gimme, gimme, gimme. Now that that's over, I'm going to go out and look for a husband. Did they say that? Did they say, you know something? It was good fun while it lasted. All I needed to do was be a fertile woman, pop out a baby, and then walk to the welfare office and say, gimme, 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 gimme. And since I'll be saying gimme to a woman who is there because of affirmative action, she will gimme. You see, it was they could say to themselves, it was good while it lasted. But winter came. They said, something, we're not going to pay you for 18 years and 18 kids. We're going to pay you for a maximum of 2 kids for 5 years total. That's what we're going to do. Meaning you can't live off this. And after the 5 years, you still have that mouth to feed. We're going to drastically cut, as Obsidian would say, cut the welfare. And what did they do after that? Did they say, okay, something? The strong independent thing is over. It's time to go and find a decent guy and get him a sandwich. But they would die first. I die first. I die before I do this the easy way. I die first. But instead of for dying, they just flooded the local community colleges. Just droves and droves and droves. Like, okay, one avenue closed. Before I go back, I am going to go to college. I'm going back to college. I'm going back to college. I know so. That is what they did. And then they started bragging, most educated and blah, 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 blah. They will do anything. I mean, this winter, all we're going to see is what they will do next. I'm curious. But for those guys who think that they're going to do you, oh, you are mistaken. You are mistaken. Collectively, they will not. They will not do you. They will do anything before you. Some of them will be under freeways burning garbage cans. Or are they burning garbage, or are they putting like logs in it? I don't know. You don't snow here, so the homeless don't really burn garbage cans. At least not that I know of. Burn garbage can underneath bridges, like I see in the movies for like New York and stuff. Yeah, property crime. They had that in Oakland. They had to call the sheriff's department, to kick them out. And then even still, they fought. They were squatting. Somebody came and bought the place that they were squatting in. They refused to leave. The sheriff had to kick them out. It was like 5 women or something living in this place rent free. This was before even the beer flu. And sheriff's department, Alameda County sheriffs, had to kick them out forcefully, which isn't a good look with BLM and everything. So, they went crying, and, they actually sued the people who bought the home, the company that bought the home. They are going to share places. If they have that one successful friend will have like 8 of them living there. They will do anything before they're going to be trying to barter goods for sex. Yeah. Well, they always do that. They're always going to do that. But that's not really a change now, is it? See, here's the thing. People think that the price at which they barter is going to change. And it's not significantly. They're going to continue to do that. They refuse to adjust collectively. You're going to get some, but we're dealing with a group of people who will completely compromise their quality of life just to maintain the self-image of the strong Black woman. It's rooted in their core identity. It's what they are and who they are. If you take that away from them, then they feel like they are nothing. Okay, so somebody says it's going to be at a higher level. Listen, when have they ever done that? When have they ever done that? Really stop and think about that. When have they ever taken the honey over the vinegar approach? When have they ever said, you know something, I am going to be a complacent wife and mother in exchange for security? When in recent history have they ever done that? When since they adopted the strong Black woman moniker have they ever done that collectively? They're going to avoid that at all costs. That is part of the sisterhood. And then even still, let's just say they decide to not do that. Oh, wait, what happened? So, Stoic, I appreciate you becoming a member. Okay, so I thought you already were one. Now, how did you get to that level so quickly? Okay, I'm gonna have to check on that. But hey, thanks again for becoming a member. All right, so channel members are always welcome. You have access to certain videos that are not public to everyone. But that's what we're hoping for. That's what we're hoping for. We're hoping for that a lot of these women will come in droves and exchange in-house pussy for, you know, a warm place to squat. And I'm here to tell you that that is nice in theory. And trust me, I'm sure that that is something that is going on everywhere else in the world. I am pretty sure that that is going on each and every single country, community, ethnicity, each and every single other place in the world. But in the Black diaspora, it is not going to go. It's not going to happen here. I mean, you may have like some girl from Chile who, you know, who had a decent job. She was a hostess at a restaurant or something, or she was a waitress, and you know, she lost her job, you know, because of the pandemic. And she's an 8, and there's a boy down the street who is a 5.5 that she was just holding out on. Like, maybe she could do better. Maybe she could just take her 8 and find some rich American or rich European, you know, or just somebody who's more handsome. She was holding out a little bit, maybe hoping for a 6 or 7, you know, because she still wants to be the pretty one of the relationship because she's a normal woman. She may have been holding out, but then she just stopped and said, you know something? That guy down the street is not so bad. 5.5 is still above average. That's not so bad. I can deal with that. Let's see how this goes. But that's there. Put that same person here, and they will not only wait it out, you know, during the whole rent moratorium, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They will also protest for more rent moratorium, and they will continue to fight for free shit for as long as forever. And then after losing that fight, they will still find another way. They will avoid the guy that lives down the street indefinitely, because that's what they do. That is how they define themselves. All right, so I'm gonna make this one a short one, but thank you to Stoic. Something else I want to do before I go. Okay. All right, somebody said that they agree wholeheartedly. Yeah. I mean, just look at the history. Don't you think that if it gets bad enough, and Tyrone and Chad decides he's done pumping her, listen, okay, there is no such thing as bad enough when you're dealing with somebody who has a core belief of something. There's no such thing as bad enough. When somebody believes that this is what they are, and that is their core belief, they stick with this indefinitely. Okay, I gave the Christian example. Let's say Druids. They had a special device for this, meaning that it must have been commonplace. They had a special device that they used for self-castration, a Druid priest. Now imagine something being part of your core identity so much that you would cut off your own penis. Because you are saying that I am a Druid priest, and Druid priests do not have penises or peni. Therefore, I am going to relieve myself of mine. Listen, some people do change. Some people can say, you know something, hey, rah this, rah that, but when push come to shove, hey, I'm out of this. You know, like those guys during World War II. Some of them were losing and was like, hey, I was just following orders. I was just kind of like getting along to get along. But hey, sorry to God's chosen. Hey, sorry about that. And yeah, it won't happen again. I promise. I promise I won't do that crap again. And yeah, please accept my apology. Sorry. So I'm going to go along and mind my business now. Some people can do that. Some people, when it's not like a deep part of your identity, it's not like deeply something that's in your soul of who you are, you can just say, hey, all right, I give up. That I was on some bull. My bad. Some people can do that. You know, because really they was fighting for an ideology that was very new, that they didn't grow up with, and it was something new. They tried it, it failed. They're like, okay, you know, that's 4 years wasted. Fought a war, lost, let me go on with my life. But then you have people like the samurai. And the samurai was like, you know something? I'm not going to go out like that. A samurai is what I am. And no matter what crap you put me through, I am still going to be a samurai. This is serious. This isn't some Boy Scout stuff. This isn't some ROTC stuff. This is what I am. This isn't something I do. This isn't a paycheck thing for me. This is what I am. I am a samurai, and if push come to shove and you push harder than me and I can't shove hard enough, I will commit seppuku. I will die for this. See, some things is taken more seriously by some people, and the sisterhood is taken more seriously by the American, the black woman from the United States is taken more seriously by them than anything else in the United States. There are like religions out there to where, you know, you don't eat pork as part of the religion, but if you put enough pressure, they'll just say, okay, give me some bacon. Some, Not all. But the sisterhood to submit to a black man, I'm talking about genuine submission, is just so outside of their realm. It's just so ridiculous that it's not going to happen. It will have to take like a nuclear chain reaction for something like that to happen. And I'm talking about history here because, you know, I gave the samurai example. So that thing that happened in the 1940s, right? So after Germany surrendered and Italy first surrendered, you now had two major powers. You had Russia, who just got finished defeating Germany and was now sending their troops east. And then you had the US, who has been at you since Pearl Harbor and was, quote unquote, I guess some way can say distracted, you know, since with other nations who have now surrendered. And they all are focused on you. Now, you were losing before that. Once Midway was over, it was pretty much over. But let's just ignore that for a second. You were already losing at that point. But you know something? You just said, you know something? I'm not going to go out like that. It's like, do you think, is there like a way that you picture yourself marching on Washington, D.C.? Like, and Moscow? Like, do you picture that happening? Do you picture you somehow coming out of this, like marching on Washington, D.C., then Moscow, then London? Like, but they said, you know something? This is my core identity. I will not surrender. And hey, I admire that. I admire that completely. They just kept with it. It took a horrendous action to finally get a surrender. Some groups of people, once they have it set in their mind that they are not going to do something, they are not going to do that thing. And genuine submission is something that they have set their minds to that they will not do. Like, come on now. In the 80s, they embraced poverty over submission in the 80s. They embraced it. They said, okay, I will take poverty before I have to get a blue-collar man's a sandwich. This is just new poverty. Some of them will camp in the woods and live off grubs like Timon and Pumbaa before they do. Now, that is my prediction. That is, and another thing. Winter, by definition, is temporary. So at best, you are going to get temporary capitulation from a group of people that don't know how to capitulate. They weren't prepared for this. They weren't making sandwiches before this, so you're getting like untrained sandwich makers. What do I mean by that? Fat. You see, when you see a woman who's not fat, you know that she has been preparing for quite some time in the gym to submit to someone. But a fat chick, nah, she wasn't preparing. She is ill prepared for this. She couldn't submit if she wanted to. and they don't want to. We are going to see some amazing stuff to avoid submission. And believe it or not, we are going to see a lot of women deliberately going to prison. But like I said, they don't fear poverty because they bring the poverty with them. Somebody said most men will never get a sandwich made for them by intent non-sandwich makers. Listen, okay, so I mean, how many people is going to bend over for what's his name, Fleece Wilson or something like that? It is in your core belief that, listen, once something is in your core belief, I will never bend over. They will never make a sandwich. They hate me just for saying it. It is their core belief to never make a sandwich. It's weird. It is weird. Fleece Johnson, thank you. Just like most of you will never bend over for Fleece Johnson, they will never make a sandwich, ever. Not for a BM. They will do all kinds of stuff. Even prior to this, they did all kind of stuff. It's like they've been going to school, for just to graduate and get the crappiest job that they have available to humans in the US. Just so they could say, I'm not making a sandwich. This one chick, what was she, scrubbing dogs? Miss Average at best, she's scrubbing dogs. She is scrubbing a dog's buttocks all day just to say, I will not submit to someone I believe is beneath me. They are listening to like 3 trash bag people and people with wigs and, just begging the dominant society to embrace them. They are trying everything to avoid basic submission. Why? Because it's not a part of their identity. They have created an identity of a group of women that is independent of their male counterpart. Putting themselves in a dependent state is contra to their belief system. She need a house to make a sandwich in, not an apartment. They don't want to make a sandwich. Listen, okay, I'm not saying that they all don't want to make a sandwich. What I'm saying is that if she didn't want to make a sandwich before, if she didn't want to submit before, winter is not going to get her to submit. And even if it does, it's just false submission. It's going to end the moment winter is over. And winter, by definition, always ends. That's the thing. Winter always end. Depressions always end. Recessions always end. Wars always end. What's that one movie? Gone with the Wind. Gone with the Wind, was starring. I seen the movie, but it's long. I don't think I've seen like it all the way through. But I do remember some parts of it. And there was a chick a Southern Belle, who was like, okay, all these guys want me. I'm the most beautiful woman in the South, and they all want me. I got all these husbands to choose from, and blah, 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 blah. I'm the shit. Right? And then winter came. Winter came, and all the Southern men either went to war. Many Many did not come back. So what did she do? She did the winter thing. She got with that dude that she wasn't even considering getting with before because winter is here. That's what smart people do. That's what that particular woman did. Some women in that same situation will pick up a musket and go to war themselves. That's what we're dealing with. It's the mentality that's got to die. Not the, winter is not going to change that. Winter is just a season. Some may even pretend, some may even, make a sandwich or two just waiting for the opportunity to, to stab you in the back and wait for the world to go to normal so they can call you, broke or say everything that you did for them during the winter was not good enough. Like some of them can do that. And hey, go for it. But winter, it's not going to change the mentality. Certain things can change the mentality, and we've talked about it before, but not winter. They bring the winter with them. They bring poverty with them. How many men, I'm going to say this, then I'm going to go. How many men were, in fact, there was a dude who made like $15,000 a month and then he was homeless. Somebody brought winter to him. Telling the ice queen that winter is coming. That's ridiculous. All right, but with that, I'd like to thank the members, managers and moderators, those who are listening silently, and those who participate in the chat. Make sure you hit that like button on your way out. And remember, this is Game Changer 00100. Game over. Peace. Or actually, before I go, let me just do something right quick. All right. So. All right. Peace.